You, Prince. Yeah, it was supposed to be an hour long, and I halved it. So then it went to 30 minutes, and I halved that to 7.5 minutes, and then I halved it again. So I'm here to present the outcome summary for today's 7 sessions, but more seriously, I've summarized the summary by half because of the constraints of time and human attention. So it just be about just a few minutes long. Session 1, building an inclusive AfCFTA. The dialogue stressed that fully implementing the AfCFTA protocol on women and youth in trade is critical. Women face structural barriers, especially digital exclusion and limited access to finance. To address this, participants called for faster adoption of the AfCFTA digital trade protocol and harmonized rules for e-commerce, digital payments, and data protection. Key recommendations included creating a Pan-African digital certification platform to speed up trade compliance, introducing a Continental gender scorecard, and establishing a unified digital identity for women entrepreneurs. These measures would help women build transaction histories and access formal financial services as a result. Session 2, from boardrooms to borders, women driving AfCFTA, the AfCFTA agenda. Despite Africa having a high number of women-owned businesses, women-led SMEs remain poorly connected to large corporations. The dialogue proposed scaling finance systems or financing systems where large companies help women-led SMEs, access affordable working capital through their own credit strength. To drive this, participants recommended forming a Pan-African Women's Business Council to link corporations with trade-ready women-led SMEs and turn procurement into a powerful tool for economic inclusion. Session 3, value addition and export readiness for the continental market. In other words, made in Africa by African women. A major challenge identified was the $42 billion financing gap, $42 billion financing gap, which limits women's ability to move into manufacturing and value-added production. The dialogue recommended establishing an AfCFTA Women's Trade Development Fund, backed by development banks and impact investors. This fund would support innovative financing tools, fintech solutions, and AfCFTA-aligned e-commerce platforms. Widespread adoption of PAPS, that is the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, was also highlighted as essential for enabling fast, low-cost, cross-border payments and supporting a strong Made in Africa by African Women brand. Session 4, financing markets and cross-border value chains for SMEs. SMEs face an estimated $330 billion annual financing gap, largely because traditional banking models do not suit modern asset-light businesses. The dialogue called for expanded use of fintech credit scoring, supply chain finance, warehouse receipt systems, and venture debt. Participants recommended that the AU and AfriExim Bank establish a Pan-African SME credit guarantee scheme to reduce lending risks with priority for women and youth-led businesses. They also proposed a digital SME trade hub to provide market information, regulations, and partnership opportunities. Session 5, enabling free movement of people, goods, and services for SMEs in cross-border trade. The discussions concluded that AfCFTA cannot succeed without full implementation of the Protocol on Free Movement of Persons. The discussions concluded that AfCFTA cannot succeed without full implementation of the Protocol on Free Movement of Persons. SMEs continue to face non-tariff barriers such as border delays, harassment, and payment challenges. And I may add, the only payments that are made easy are what they would call in Kenya the kitikidogo, or your boys are here payments, as we know them in Ghana and Nigeria. Recommendations included simplifying trade documentation, allowing credit business groups to issue certificates of origin, accelerating ratification of the free movement protocol, and launching a non-trade barriers elimination dashboard with a dedicated SME complaint mechanism. Session 6, Africa without borders, the digital and creative economy as drivers of Africa's single market and global soft power. Africa's youth were recognized as a key driver of growth, especially in digital and creative industries. However, weak intellectual property protection and fragmented regulations limit their ability to scale. The dialogue urged harmonization of digital trade rules, data protection laws, and IP frameworks under AfCFTA. Key proposals included faster adoption of the AU Cybersecurity and Data Protection Convention and the creation of a Pan-African creative and digital content exchange platform to support licensing, distribution, and revenue retention in Africa. And finally, Session 7, owning the AfCFTA narrative, empowering the youth as solution creators in driving Africa's industrialization. The participants called for a shift from viewing youth as beneficiaries to recognizing them as leaders of Africa's industrial future. Misaligned education systems and limited access to long-term capital were identified as major obstacles. The dialogue recommended establishing an AfCFTA youth industrialization parks, including youth representatives in national AfCFTA committees or teams, and creating a youth venture capital fund through the African Development Bank to support high-growth, youth-led businesses. In conclusion, today's 7 sessions have made clear that empowering SMEs, women, and youth is essential to achieving AfCFTA's promise of inclusive growth. The dialogues have offered practical, actionable recommendations for the African Union and member states to build a truly borderless African market. Participants want the AU to adopt these outcomes. Participants want the AU to adopt these outcomes as a strategic blueprint, and integrate them into AfCFTA's monitoring and implementation frameworks to ensure that Africa's single market delivers jobs, shared prosperity, and sustainable development for all Africans. And thank you, Madam Chair Zuma, for staying all the way from beginning to end, and of course the rest of you too. Thank you very much.